There's a high school in Austin, Texas, where AI reigns supreme.
Artificial intelligence. It's been called everything from the most important innovation of our time, to a job killer, to even a god. No lie, there are folk who legit worship AI, bro. And in a rush to push this new tech into everything, is there a chance that AI can become your future teacher? Rise up, GG Nation, because it's time for Guidance Guy Friday, your digital guidance lesson from your internet school counselor. And this isn't science fiction. There's actually already a school that has replaced all of its teachers with AI. Want to see how it works and the possible dangers that can come with it? Let's go! It's guidance time!
Here, K through 12th graders are proudly cutting classes, spending just 2 hours a day learning math, science, reading, and writing, all with the help of an AI tutor and without a single teacher.
Imagine you show up to school, however you get there. Car rider, bus, walker, whatever. Maybe you grab breakfast or chat up your friends before you head over to your classroom. However, you go into your classroom and something seems off. It looks like a classroom. There are students in the place. Shoot, there's even laptops and other types of tech. The big difference? There's no teacher! Then who's the one leading the learning? That's where AI comes in. Through multiple learning platforms, AI has replaced the teacher and is in charge of passing on knowledge. Now, there are adults in the room. They're called guides, and their job is to ensure that every student is doing what needs to be done and providing, not instruction, but simple guidance to help students get what they want. Sounds insane, right? A school with no teachers? Is this even school at that point? Apparently it is! At places like Alpha School, learning centers have popped up all over the country with the dream of revolutionizing education through artificial technology, creating personalized, custom-made lessons for every student that matches their pace and ability to learn. No student ever falls behind because their AI instructor will already know how far to push them and knows what their limits are. And did I mention that the learning part of this whole thing only takes 2 hours? This is facts. Even though a student's day at Alpha is about as long as everyone else's, the amount of time they get for instructional content is only 2 hours long. So what do they do with the rest of the time? Alpha students spend the rest of the day learning life skills, understanding how money works, and even things you're expected to learn at home, like riding a bike. And if you think your school knows how to motivate their pupils, try this. Alpha students who meet their learning goals, whether it's lessons completed or a certain score on a test, they can earn incentives like toys for the school store, real cash money, or even hold behind vacations. Yes, students at this school who get good grades from Miss AI can end up going to Disney World with the school paying for it. Sounds interesting, right? I can hear some of you wondering, where's the school? I need to go there. Plug me into the Matrix and get me my AI teacher. Well, hold on, because everything I just said, though true, is only part of the picture.
Are you comfortable having guides in the classroom that don't necessarily know the core curriculum?
It's okay that our guides aren't experts in physics or math or whatever they're doing.
Whenever you hear about places like Alpha in the news, all you hear about is all the good perks and advantages that I just mentioned in the last section. What gets left out are the students that Alpha wasn't able to bring to the AI created future, the burnouts it created, and the families who ended up pulling their kids out of this seemingly utopian educational center. Todd Feathers of Wired magazine, however, did what many in the media haven't: look at the dark side of what happens when computers replace teachers. His expose highlights the stories of parents who were excited by the potential of AI schools until they saw the downside. And it's this article where I'm going to get a lot of my info from for the rest of this video. The first drawback? The price. For those who saw my college video, remember that paying for university can be a pretty penny, and Alpha School apparently wants a piece of that bag. The yearly tuition to attend Alpha School, cause ain't no way this school is for free, will start at $40,000 a year. The most expensive colleges charge around $60,000 a year. If you need that kind of bag just to go, Alpha just priced itself out of a lot of people's budget. And you could make the case that's the whole point, to offer this high-end tech to only the richest people who can afford it. But hey, if you're charging people the same price as a BMW, then surely you can expect to get only an S-tier level education that guarantees success. Well, not so fast. Going back to Feathers' article, his story highlights families who felt like they were deceived by Alpha School's promises. Starting with the "you only need 2 hours to learn" claim that they're so proud of that they plaster it on their walls. The Wired article mentioned several students who weren't able to learn everything they needed to learn in 2 hours. And what happens when you don't meet your learning goals at Alpha School, you might be asking? You're stuck on that lesson or module until you get it. And until then, you don't get to enjoy the other parts of the day that your classmates who finish their studies get to do. And according to Feathers, one family alleged that Alpha withheld snacks for their kid as a reward for getting their job done. These snacks that the parents sent with their child to help them stay focused on the work were now being used to push her beyond her limits to meet some robot's quality of work. And one more fact, this student was already struggling with skipping meals because of the stress and anxiety of trying to stay on track with the lessons. And this was an issue that Alpha School allegedly was already aware of. But that's normal, right? You're falling behind on your work, your teacher tells you that you don't get to eat until you finish your Lexia. Sure you still want to go to that place? Let's say that despite the cost and the possibility of losing your basic human rights, you still want to risk it. Okay, go ahead. Just know that in the eyes of Alpha School and those who created this concept, you're just a guinea pig, an experiment. You want to know who created the Alpha School? Alpha School is the combined effort of Mackenzie Price and Joe Leemant, the school's founders. And what are their backgrounds in? Elementary education? Educational leadership? Anything with education in the title? Nope. Mackenzie's degree is in psychology, and she's also the inventor of the 2-hour learning model. And, okay, speaking as someone with a background in psychology myself, it's important in teaching, but psychology itself is not going to make you a great teacher. Yet that's better than what old Joey's education is in. You want to take a guess? Go ahead, throw up a comment and see if you're right. Well, here's the thing. Joey actually dropped out of school. Leemant did go to Stanford for college before leaving, though clearly not for education as he's become a billionaire through technology. So let's summarize real quick. We got a school that's run by AI teachers and created by people who themselves have never taught in a classroom, and one of them decided that education wasn't even right for them and straight up bailed on it. And don't give me the, well, it worked out for him because he's mad rich now line, okay? You know how many people drop out of school and don't become billionaires? Literally everyone else. So miss me with that. Remember, AI in its current form is still very unpolished and isn't perfect. For example, want to know how to stop cheese from slipping off your pizza? Google Gemini once suggested that people mix glue into the pizza sauce to make it stickier. Or that using gasoline as an ingredient is okay for cooking actually. So yeah, AI doesn't always have the answer. And Leemant and Price, who again are not teachers themselves but rather business people trying to sell a product, know that. And the families that ended up pulling their kids out of Alpha School realized that after the fact. The truth that Alpha School was ultimately using their kids as test subjects to see what worked, what didn't, and then using what did work as a marketing tool to get more kids into the school. And that right there may be the biggest difference between an AI teacher and a real one. An AI teacher, no matter how good they are at instruction, at the end of the day doesn't really care about you. Because it can't. It's just a bunch of O's and ones collecting data from you and giving that data to its bosses so that they can make more money. On the other hand, a human teacher can tell when you're on your game and when you're having an off day. A flesh and blood teacher can give you an ear when you need one, or comfort you when you're going through a dark time. A real teacher knows that grades and test scores aren't everything.
Yeah, a lot to take in there.
And that wasn't even all the pitfalls of Alpha School. I could have gone into detail about the fact that AI teachers can't teach good pencil grip, or the fact that none of the multiple sites that Alpha School has, not once did I see a school counselor on its staff. But I'm gonna leave it be. Despite the general vibe of this video, this is not meant to be an AI takedown piece. Artificial intelligence does have its place and can be very useful in a lot of different ways. At the same time, AI is not and cannot be a replacement for human beings. No matter how good an instructor an AI can be, it will never have the human element that every great teacher has instinctively. And that same logic applies to a lot of other areas that need a human touch. You remember the Amazon cloud outage that caused whole parts of the internet to just shut down a few weeks ago? As it turns out, that happened because Amazon laid off the human workers who would know how to prevent and quickly deal with such a situation and replaced those workers with, you guessed it, AI bots. Human beings were replaced by computers who weren't equipped to do the job they were hired to do. And in this is a very important lesson. AI can never replace the human touch. And there's a lot of ways you can use this lesson in your everyday life. Of course, using AI to do your work for you isn't the way. Neither is using ChatGPT for advice or as a counselor, as some people have gotten into the habit of doing. If you have a need that requires a person, make sure you go to a person. Again, this isn't about AI bad. It's about having human connection. A connection with AI only goes one way. The bot can never care about you. It will only learn you well enough to tell you what you want to hear. Only a friend will call you out on your nonsense. Only someone who loves you can give you a hug. and only a teacher can give you knowledge while also seeing you as a person, not a data point. And oddly enough, this isn't the biggest problem with AI. The real threat is not them replacing teachers or even taking human jobs, it's the ability to steal our desire to think for ourselves. We'll come back to that point next time though. That's right, we're doing a part 2 for this one, and it'll be out in a couple weeks. And while you're waiting, want to know what I would do if one of the biggest YouTubers in the world walked into my office? Come check out this video on what I would say if Ryan's World were my client. See you there! Got it, Sky out.